Abuja to Lagos, Sokoto to Port Harcourt, and to Ilorin, all across Nigeria. Radio TV. From Abuja to Lagos, Sokoto to Port Harcourt, and information that will make your day. We are
evening to you, and thanks for joining us on the news update on 24 News Radio and Television. My name is Grace Nwafo. Oyo State Emergency Management Agency has alerted people living in flood-prone communities to start preparing for heavy rain, and its attempt contained in a statement released by the Administrative Secretary of SEMA, Uju Busari, in Ibadan, the state capital. She explained that a report from the early warning system indicated that the areas the east and the northeast of the experienced the heaviest rainfall. The administrative secretary further said areas with moderate to heavy rainfall determined by the flood early warning system and attained by Google Maps will encompass most of Ibadan Metropoli assured all that the agency and other relevant agencies of government, voluntary agencies, and civil society groups are prepared to intervene and ameliorate the plight of persons and communities. She therefore urged people of the state to immediately commence preparations to avert dire consequences, saying discretion is the better part of valor. The Northern Elders Forum (NEF) has called on the federal government flooding crisis threatening vast parts of northern Nigeria. NEF noted that when these official forecasts are considered alongside weakened infrastructure and poor drainage systems, the threat of widespread flooding becomes dangerously imminent, especially in September. In a statement, warned that patterns, historical precedents, and other official weather alerts, the region is on the brink of a severe environmental and humanitarian disaster. The NEF cited the recent flood alert for 11 states issued by the National Flood Early Warning Systems Center (FEWS) under the Federal Ministry of Environment. The Northern Early addressed the issue. Representatives has charged of the United States of America visa regime recently reviewed by the President Donald Trump-led government. The resolution House followed the consideration and adoption of the motion of Ahmad Mokhtar and 4 others during plenary session. While speaking on the motion, the lawmakers urged the House to speak in unison and demand a reversal of the new policy. He also argued that Nigeria looked forward to monthly remittances via diaspora bonds, a strategic that is certain. The lawmakers noted that they undermined decades of good sacrifices and bilateral efforts invested by both governments, legislatures, and citizens to promote common democratic goals, fight terrorism, and deepen trade, education, and culture. Following the adoption of the motion, the House urged the United States Embassy the new visa policy and restore the 5-year multiple entry visa regime previously granted to Nigerian citizens in the light of mutual respect, equity, and reciprocity. The House also directed the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to particularly relations and to protect the dignity and mobility of Nigerian citizens. This is still the news update on 24 News Radio and Television. Still to come are news from the foreign scene as well as the world of sport. Stay with us. You're still there, just joining us. This is the news. Covered that dozens of provincial officials and hospital staff attempted to cover up a lead poisoning case that made hundreds of children sick and sparked widespread outrage. The officials tampered with the blood tests of students who were at Peasant Kindergarten in the city. Officials also accepted bribes from an investor in Peasant while neglecting food safety inspections across. In an attempt to attract, Peasant chefs have used inedible paint to enhance the look of its meals. Food samples were later found to contain lead 2,000 times in excess of the national safety limit. 8 people were initially detained for their involvement in producing the toxic snacks. 6 of them, including the kindergarten's principal, cooks, and an investor, have been arrested. 10 other officials will face formal accounting procedures, while another 7. And from France, a number of French cities have imposed nighttime curfews on young people following a spate of violence linked was the latest to bring in measures which authorities said were meant to prevent on the 16th from being exposed to violence and to contain tensions. Additional police units will also be sent in. Over the course of last month, several shootings left one person dead and several injured. Last week, the body of a 19-year-old of fear and terror. The class age 12 or 13. The World Health Organization (WHO) says Israel's offensive is working after its facilities came under attack. The UN agency accused Israeli forces of attacking Arbala on Monday and mistreating those sheltering there. The WHO said one of its detained by troops during on the residents was still being held and demanded their immediate release. The Israeli army said it detained several individuals suspected of involvement in terrorism in the area and that most were released of recent. The first major Israeli ground operation in Deir al-Balah since the start of the war has displaced tens of thousands of civilians amid warnings of a severe hunger. Gaza's Hamas-run health ministry said that 33 people, including 12 children, had died from malnutrition across the 38 hours. The UN said it had received growing reports of children and malnutrition and warned vast lifelines keeping people alive are collapsing. And from the world of sports, host nation Morocco will face West African giant Ghana in the semi-finals of WAFCON 2024 with win a first-ever title in a high-stakes semi-final clash at the Stade Olympique in Rabat today, as both sides eye a place in the final of the 2024 CAF Women's Africa Cup of Nations. For the first opportunity to reach their first final in nearly 20 years. Morocco, runners-up in 2022, are aiming to make back to finals and lift the key on home soil. And still from the world of Galatasaray, coach Okan Buruk is looking forward to the return of Victor Osimhen. Nigerian is on the brink of completing a high-profile permanent move to the club. The Turkeys are in the final stage of negotiation after a protracted negotiation. Buruk confirmed that talks between both clubs are progressing positively and only minor details remain outstanding. Report says Galatasaray are prepared to pay a total of 75 million euro with 40 million euro paid upfront and a further 35 million euro due by 2026. The deal includes a clause barring Osimhen from returning within 2 years, while Napoli will on clause. Osimhen has already expressed his approval, having impressed on loan last season with 37 goals in 41 appearances across all competitions, a contribution that was instrumental to Galatasaray's domestic double success. Osimhen is expected to arrive Istanbul shortly for his medical and official unveiling, with a 4-year contract awaiting his signature. Once completed, Galatasaray will shift for acquisition, while player departures may follow to ensure compliance with league regulations. And that is a wrap on the news update on 24 News and Television. Do stay tuned for more programs to come. My name is Grace Nwafo. Have a lovely evening.
From Abuja to Port Harcourt, Enugu to Ilorin. All across Nigeria, we bring you news